Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 13th. We are coming to you all. Some are seeing us live, others are listening to the podcast. But today we're going to talk about the hot topic, the 10 million pound elephant in the room, Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Why is it important? And how is it growing like it's growing? All these things will be discussed. And I'm going to say this before we even get into it. All investments have risk. Please, whatever you hear today, don't think, okay, this is my green light to go buy it. Do your research, make sure it fits your suitability, make sure it makes sense in your portfolio, and make sure you're using money that you can actually risk, because all investments have some type of risk associated. So while I do my housekeeping, Leon will tell you more about why we chose this topic today.
Yeah, it shows us today because, as Brent said, the 10 million pound gorilla in the room is good old Bitcoin. Bitcoin has taken on a bit of a cult following. Everyone, like cryptocurrencies were a geeky, nerdy, like underground thing before. I mean, Bitcoin was the first crypto, but it was really like nobody knew about it, right? It was just kind of underground thing, really geek, because crypto is really Bitcoin and all crypto is really technical, and so it was a really nerdy thing. All of a sudden now it's just strange for me because I've been following crypto for the past 6 years. Didn't start investing in it until last year, but it's crazy to see it go from like this nerdy kind of.
I don't know why Leon keeps calling it nerdy.
No. I'm not saying crypto. As I'm saying, the discussion around crypto prior to becoming what it is now was a very, because I mean it is. I mean without getting too wonky, crypto is purely 100% technical. It's all digital, right? So it was like I said. I mean, it was a nerdy thing. Blockchain is a very deep technical thing to discuss that most people don't know what blockchain is, much less to get into discussion around it.
But you guys, when crypto first came out, though, this is just you guys get to hear our banter. Like a lot of it was based on gaming, and a lot of the blockchain itself. Now, blockchain, I give that to you. It was very technical, but I think most of the crypto, not most, it's a lot of crypto. Crypto is like IPOs. You really don't know how many there are out there until you start doing the research. And there are coins that pop up and go away all the time. But I think blockchain is technical. I think crypto was one of those things that was really in the underground culture for investors and gaming enthusiasts.
Well, but blockchain is the without blockchain you don't really have crypto because that's the ledger.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, crypto. We all know crypto now is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these other ones. But I'm saying 5, 6, 7 years ago, no one discussed crypto like in the mainstream. It was a very technical, and I'll say it again, a very nerdy discussion, because most of it was about blockchain, most of it was about the back end of it. Then it kind of came to the mainstream with everybody now, buying crypto. So, but like I said, for me, it's just funny to see because I remember when crypto was more like an underground thing. Nobody knew about it, nobody talked about it, but now it's like it's the topic of the day. So that's why we chose.
This fun story, right? So everybody who's listening to this, I went to Bowie State University. So this is 1997, maybe 98. A guy knew that we had the investment company Wealth Enterprise back then in the investment group, and I always saw him click clacking. This is so long ago. At certain schools, you had to make an appointment to use a computer. Like it wasn't everybody had a computer in their room.
Yeah.
You had to go to the computer lab and you had to make an appointment to use a computer. And it was this guy in there. He always click clacking. And I spent my amount of time just working on a project that I had to do or a paper. But I was always interested in people who were interested in what they were doing, if that makes sense. And so one day I asked him, like, what are you always working on? And he was like, aren't you the guy with the investment club? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, you should know about this. It's Bitcoin. And I was like, what is it? He was like, well, you got to pay through. And he started naming how you pay for it. And my eyes began to gloss over. And I was like, well, how much does it cost? And he's like 0.003 cents. It was very small. And I was like, that'll never catch on.
Hey, look at it now.
Hey, look at it now. It might have been 9 cents. It might have been 9 cents. And I remember thinking, like, just how can it sustain? And what can you buy with it? And he was like, well, you can get, and that's when he started telling me about gaming. And I was like, well, I didn't play video games, so I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and kept moving.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Bitcoin was a very, very underground thing. And now, and even back in 2017, for people that have been following it, that was a year that it touched 20,000. I mean, it went from essentially pennies up to 20,000 in a couple of years, and it was all the craze. And then it went from 20,000 down to like 3,000. Everybody, you heard nothing about Bitcoin. And then over the last year and a half, Bitcoin's come back because it's gone from roughly 5,000 out to almost 40,000. So, I mean, Bitcoin. I mean, but that shows the volatility in Bitcoin and how crazy it is. But a lot of people don't know what in the world Bitcoin actually is, right? Everyone just knows it's this crazy, quote unquote, cryptocurrency. But what is that? What does that mean? What does cryptocurrency mean? And what does that volatility actually mean? So that's why we're going to cover Bitcoin today, because people inside IEA are talking about it, are asking us questions. We see stuff online. We get questions just from friends of ours about crypto and about Bitcoin specific. So that's why we're going to cover Bitcoin today. So we're throwing up the first slide. We're just going to run through what Bitcoin is, right? Forget all the money you can make with it or lose with it, depending on how you go at it. But just what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, and what that really means, all it really means, it's a fancy term for a currency that's 100% digital, right? Like you cannot go anywhere and physically touch Bitcoin because it lives in the ether, it lives in cyber, quote unquote, cyberspace. It lives out there in the online world. It's not physical. It's wholly digital. So anytime you hear digital currency, that means it's not in any way physical. It was started in 2009 by a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. Now the funny thing about this cat, nobody knows if he actually exists, right?
No, straight goose.
Yeah, like no one knows. No one's never met this guy. He's never been heard from. Nobody knows if it's an individual or if it's a group of people. But he published his paper, I think in 2008, where he basically that's when he introduced Bitcoin to the world via this paper. Then 2009, they actually came out with the blockchain behind it and the whole technicals behind it. But it was published by this guy Satoshi. But again, no one's ever talked to him. No one's ever seen him. No one's ever found him. Nobody knows who this guy is. So essentially, nobody knows who invented Bitcoin. It's just kind of out there. But that name is stuck to being the origin of Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin is a digital currency. Again, it's wholly digital. You cannot touch it physically. It's a decentralized in that nobody controls it, right? So like you have with the US dollar, US controls that. Europe controls that. Yen, Japan controls that. Crypto and Bitcoin, nobody controls it. And that's one reason a lot of governments don't like crypto or don't like Bitcoin in particularly, is because it's decentralized. And what that means is there's no one place to go buy it, to go sell it, to go access it, to go visit it, to go touch it, which you can't really do because it's digital. There's no one place to go to interact with Bitcoin. It's and I'm not going to get all deep into it, but it exists on what's called this blockchain. And that's actually the third point. So all Bitcoin transactions are recorded in a decentralized ledger called blockchain. So blockchain is where Bitcoin actually lives. And blockchains is the ledger or blockchain is actually hosted by individuals, right? So analogy for people is, if people remember Napster back in the day, Napster was a decentralized way everyone traded music. So like if I had a computer and say Brent had a computer, we would download the Napster software and our computers could directly connect with each other and send music back and forth. The blockchain is a similar thing where people host what are called these nodes. And on your node, you mine for currency, you mine for Bitcoin, which you kind of in some ways create Bitcoin. But on these nodes is where any transaction that surrounds Bitcoin and where Bitcoins live. So if I'm mining for Bitcoin and Brent's mining for Bitcoin, we are part of the blockchain, right? We're part of the system that is the backbone for what Bitcoin is. Hope that makes sense to people. Blockchain can be kind of hard to grasp, but it's just a central ledger. It's one place where all transactions are recorded and where Bitcoin actually lives.
Yeah, and those of you all who heard people always say they were Bitcoin miners, that was a really big thing probably like 15 years ago. It's still a thing today, let me be very clear. But there's so many Bitcoin miners out there now, and these are people that are just looking through all the code to find quote quote Bitcoins. It's now such a saturated environment that the miners or people who were miners aren't showing up or aren't as interested because it's not as profitable, but they still do exist. I know some of you probably heard the last statement from Leon and thought, oh, well, what about mine? People who mine Bitcoin. It's not as much of a thing as it used to be.
Yeah, and all mining is like Bert said. Remember, this whole thing is all technical, right? So when you mine for Bitcoin, it's like mining for gold, right? You're going to trying to find this gold. Well, there with the code with the Bitcoin code, there are ways you can create new Bitcoins, right? So these people that mine for Bitcoin are also part of the Bitcoin ledger, and on these machines they mine for Bitcoin. In other words, they're trying to find new Bitcoins, but also on their machines they host actual the digital Bitcoin. They're part of the ledger. So on their machine, they may host your Bitcoin, they may host Brent's Bitcoin, they may host my Bitcoin. If you buy and sell something via Bitcoin, it'll be recorded on this ledger. It could be hosted on a number of different machines around the world. Again, it's decentralized. So the ledger is the backbone for what Bitcoin is. So an interesting point is, which is the third point, is that Bitcoin is actually finite, right? So like right now in the US, we're the Federal Reserve, and they literally can print money. They can make money out of thin air, right? They can just add zeros to the end of their accounting system.
Their ledgers too.
Yeah, the ledger. Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what the Fed can add zeros to the end of their ledgers and create money out of thin air, right? And that's what's called debasing a currency, or basically devaluing a currency. Interestingly about Bitcoin, there's a finite amount. There's a finite amount of only 21 million can ever be created. Only 21 Bitcoin can ever be created. This guy Satoshi Nakamoto, whomever they are, he is
Nakamoto.
Nakamoto, yeah, whoever they are, he is. They put a limit on the number of Bitcoins that can be created, right? So the only 21 million Bitcoins can be created. Right now, there are about 18 million Bitcoins that have been created so far. So we have about 2.5, 3 million more Bitcoin that will be created, and then that's it. No more can be created. Now, all of us know is that when things are scarce, they typically either hold their value or rise in value. So in my mind, knowing that Bitcoin, and I don't know if this we'll see in the future, but to me, something that's fine, it's like land. Like they're not making any more land, right? That's why land is so valuable. And to me, it's like Bitcoin. Once all the Bitcoins are out there, all 21 million are out there, it's gonna I think it's gonna continue to go up because they're not making any more of it. So as people buy up Bitcoin, that whole supply demand thing comes into play, and at 21, it's capped at 21 million. As people keep buying it and buying it and buying it, it's going to drive down the number that out there and boost demand for Bitcoin. So to me, that number, that 21 million number, the only amount that can be made, to me, it's like a floor. Like Bitcoin can only go down so much in my mind. I'm not saying this will happen in my mind because of that finite number of Bitcoin, which in turn increase demand for it. Next one is when you buy Bitcoin, it is stored in a virtual wallet. And so this is interesting too. When I was doing research, I found this out. Is that so when you buy Bitcoin, right? You go to something like Coinbase or Robinhood, and you purchase Bitcoin via their platforms. But what I found out through my research is that so it's a virtual wallet, right? But remember, Bitcoin lives on blockchain. So in your quote unquote wallet, you're not actually storing Bitcoin that you own, right? All the wallet does is it points to essentially the Bitcoin that's on the ledger that you have access to, right? So the value in the Bitcoin, in owning Bitcoin, is not actually the Bitcoin. So if you look down one below that long string of numbers on this chart is on this slide is actually a Bitcoin code, right? Or a Bitcoin key. So when you buy a Bitcoin, right, you get two keys. You get a public and a private key. That's actually the value of Bitcoin because that key allows you to access your Bitcoin on the blockchain ledger. Without that, you lose your Bitcoin. Like I read an article yesterday. This guy has 7,008 Bitcoin in one of his wallets, and he lost his keys for it. That equals out to 245 billion with a B billion dollars right now. Or no, sorry, 240, maybe million, 240. I forgot. I think it's 245 million. Yeah, 245 million dollars that he cannot access because he lost his keys to his wallet. This is why it's very, very, very important to whenever you buy Bitcoin, to know where your keys are and store them and save them. They're essentially like a password. But another thing about it is that remember, Bitcoin lives on a ledger, which is out there in the world. And that's why you don't. So when you buy Bitcoin, you don't really own Bitcoin per se, because you never take like physical control or access or ownership of Bitcoin. It just lives on the ledger. That key gives you access to that Bitcoin that lives on the ledger, which you then can buy things with or sell to other people. But you never actually take ownership of physical Bitcoin, because again, it's a digital currency. You don't take physical control of it. So the true value of Bitcoin, a lot of people think, is actually those keys, because the keys give you access to those Bitcoins that live on the ledger.
And
So
also,
again, very, very important. If you ever buy Bitcoin, make sure you know where your key is and store it somewhere safe.
and that is depending on what platform you buy your Bitcoins on, right? So if you're buying your Bitcoin on a platform like Cash App, they don't give you a key number. So you have to know the platform you're using. And right now, recent announcement is PayPal has started allowing people to transact business through its platform, and they also don't give you a key number. So it depends on the platform for which you're buying it. In case anybody is panicked right now thinking, I never got a key. It's really when you had the wallets.
Yeah, right. So yeah, a lot of these new ones, and I believe there's still keys when even when you buy on these other platforms like Cash App and Robinhood, there still are keys, because that's just a function of the blockchain ledger.
But I
But
think they're held at the company versus it's your responsibility to hold it.
yeah, I think the platforms like Robinhood and Cash App take that responsibility for you, I believe. But I would imagine if you call them, or if you want the actual keys, you can get them, because that's, you own that Bitcoin. But yeah, Brett's right. You're not going to see like a key sent to you, because again, the platforms are more taking care of that.
Yeah.
But I
got a question coming in.
oh,
If you use Coinbase, I don't know if Coinbase has like a 1-800 number, but I would just send them text, because I want to say Coinbase is a platform where you need to know your keys, your key number. So if you have Coinbase and you're thinking, oh, I don't remember getting that number, contact them. And if you have PayPal and or Cash App or any of the such, you can always contact the person to whom you bought it through and just ask the question. Again, for when Leon and I are bringing you this information, our biggest hope is, number one, to make you aware of it, and then two, to lead you to the person that can give you the exact right answer. And it's as easy as just getting in contact with the company you have your Bitcoins with and asking them directly, because all companies do it a little different. Do I have, and how do I get my key?
right. Yeah, definitely important, because like I said, that guy who owns 7,000 Bitcoin and I think $245 million cannot access it because he lost his keys. So just a anecdotal story out there about knowing where your keys are.
Yeah.
Last point is Bitcoin is not only a currency, but it's also a store of value. So there's a big debate right now in the whole crypto world about what is Bitcoin. Is it a currency, or is it a store of value like gold? Like gold right now, most people buy gold. They buy gold as a hedge, right? Because they figure, okay, the market's going to crash, the economy's going to go in the tank. People move their money into hard assets like gold or silver. And so the debate now is crypto the new gold, or is it going to replace the dollar, or is it going to do both, right? And people, we won't know that, for the future. My personal belief is that Bitcoin is going to be more like gold than replacing the U.S. dollar. At least I believe in our lifetime. I can't see the U.S. dollar being pushed aside by Bitcoin anytime soon. But it's definitely, even right now, it's serving as a store of value that people are buying as a hedge against any market crash or turbulence.
Yeah, and when you have Bitcoin, and it's been a lot of people talking about deconstructing the ecosystem of Bitcoin to like see how it works. Good luck. It is definitely not the easiest thing to figure out. But also too, when you're looking at what is going to happen with government regulation, taxes now, the regulation around taxes and Bitcoin has changed several times. So if you own Bitcoin, especially this year, IRS has just put about $75 million over the last 2 years just to hire auditors, because they're gearing up to audit people because of all the money that's been going out with PPP and the such. So if you have Bitcoin and you're like, oh, well, I'm not even going to tell my tax professional because it's not real money, or you know what, nobody needs to know about it because I don't want to pay taxes on this 100% gain that I've seen in the last like 2 months, and I don't want to pay that tax. Please, please, please disclose to your financial professionals, your tax professionals, that you own Bitcoin if you own Bitcoin. Do not move it to the side mentally, thinking nobody needs to know about it. It's my little secret. I hope it just keeps growing.
Yeah. They come up for their Bitcoin profits because they know people out here making killings off Bitcoin, and are not trying to report them. So definitely file with your tax person. Okay, so next slide here, we have a slide above so these are some big names that actually accept Bitcoin, right? So remember I was saying before, some people were saying, is it a currency or is it a store of value? And right now it's both. I think it's actually more of a store of value versus a currency because like for instance, okay, what we have here is we're showing the Expedia, Norwegian Airlines, Subway, Domino's Pizza, Burger King, Microsoft, AMC Theaters, Shopify, Etsy, and Overstock. These are just a few big name companies that you can that accept Bitcoin. And there are thousands of them that accept Bitcoin.
Yes.
But I think it's more of a store of value right now because it's just there's not a lot of transactions going on with Bitcoin. Most of it, of course, is still with the US dollar. So I look at it as more of a store of value. But as we see here, there are companies that accept Bitcoin, and there are people out here that are purchasing things with Bitcoin because retailers do accept it. So these are a few that will show you that it's actually a currency too. Say what, Brent?
I see it more as a currency. Bitcoin, you got to think the US is slow to change. And you go into the Asian countries, they're using Bitcoin on a regular basis, and their ATMs now are switching to Bitcoin ATMs. So, the US is really slow to the market. And please don't forget, I know a lot of us are US centric in our thinking, but there's a much broader world out there of people who use Bitcoin. Even the UK, they use Bitcoin on a regular basis. So I see it as a currency more than anything else. Even the way they're taxing it now, they're taxing it like a currency, or they're taxing it like an appreciating asset, like a stock.
Yeah, right.
And so in that space, that's more like cash, but the way it's being taxed is more like a asset of appreciation. So Bitcoin's still in a funky place, but I think it's an argument for both sides, like a very strong argument. But if I had to look,
the tax thing alone is more leads into more like an asset than because they're taxing it almost like a stock.
Yeah, the tax is just like a stock.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's right now it's a store of value and it's a currency. You think it's more? You look at it more of a currency. I look at it more of a store of value. It's actually both right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And
go to these other markets, and for everybody, we're gonna give you our 2 stock picks, but I'm just saying, for the record, this is not one of our stock picks. This is already a stock we picked. But because of PayPal's move to support cryptocurrency, and it looks like that's just going to grow, it makes me like PayPal even more. Again, that's not a pick. That's not the pick for today between Leon and I. But I just want to say that on behalf of PayPal. So.
Yeah, and last one on Bitcoin is that it's up 400% over the last year. Last year, this time, it was around $8,000, and it just recently hit $40,000. So it's up over 400% in 1 year.
Yep. And, again, too, please, everybody note those of you all who think you're Bitcoin crazy or Bitcoin is killing it, there are stocks that Leon and I have bought that have done 200%, 300%, 400%, 500% in a year. Granted, is rare, but it's happened. And so I'm just simply want you all to know that Bitcoin isn't the only asset that appreciates like that. I've known people who have bought houses and flipped it and, had a great return. So for those of you all, again, who feel like, oh man, I missed it. It's over. I can't get in it. I'm horrible at investing. Why can't it ever be me? There's still a whole market out there that will allow for an incredible rate of return if you were to pick the right investment.
Right. Yep. And Bitcoin is only one crypto. There are thousands of cryptos, but for me, so all the thousands of cryptos that are out there, they're basically like penny stocks, right? A lot of them are under a dollar, under a dollar. Some of them are under a penny. They're just, to me, the big ones are, what was it, Brent? Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Yeah, are the big 3. Outside of that, for me, is I wouldn't really even touch them. But with the stock market now, so let's just say that you have the big 3 with crypto. Stock market, there's over 6,000 companies to choose from. So if you miss, one company that shot up, you have thousands of others to get into where, if you miss Bitcoin, yeah, you may have missed that run for now. I'm sure it'll be back, but you can jump over the stock market and still, pick out the 6,000 that are out there to get, a great return.
Yeah, and if anybody watches us frequently, there was a guy who put a comment in the section. It had to have been at least 3 months ago. The stock ticker, I don't remember, but he put a comment in this discussion. The stock he was talking about had appreciated 1,300% that day.
Yeah.
It was that day. And I mean, that was amazing. So I'm bringing that up just to simply say, Bitcoin isn't the only fast appreciating asset, but it has volatility that necessarily causes me pause. But at the same time, I do think it's not going to go anywhere, and it is the future, as is also the primary coins, and the primary coins being Bitcoin, Bitcoin, I believe it's called Cash, Bitcoin Cash,
Yeah.
Ethereum, and Litecoin. The other coins are called altcoins, and those are alternative coins. And so the alternative coins, if you own them, you actually have to convert them to a primary coin before you can cash them out. And for me, right now, I really like, oh, the question just came up. Which one do I like? I like Ethereum. If it wasn't Bitcoin, I love Ethereum. So I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't dug into Bitcoin Cash much to understand what the difference is, nor have I done extensive research on Litecoin. However, to give you my reasoning on Ethereum, the creator of Ethereum is from, is it Yugoslavia?
I'm not sure. Where
it might be somewhere like that. And he has been courted by governments all over the world who have been trying to use really Ethereum to offset the popularity of Bitcoin, which has not worked at all. But that was one of the things many governments were trying to do, simply because they could find the person who created it, and they figured that they could actually put more pressure. This is my thought. The thought was they could put more pressure on this person to do what they wanted with the coin versus an individual who is ambiguous and nobody can find. And they just didn't like the fact that Bitcoin is is becoming such a disruptor in the marketplace, and they can't control it. So for that reason, I like Ethereum. We'll see where the market goes in the future.
Yeah, cool.
All right, somebody said I was wondering the same thing, so I guess we are on the right path. And we're going to continue to follow it. There are people who think it, the one thing about cryptocurrency is it's still an investment. And almost all investments at some point have their own variation of a pullback. And the difference with stocks versus these cryptocurrencies can have a pullback of anywhere from 20 to like 60%, like in a flash. Where the stock market normally, if it's going to do some type of correction in a given year, maybe you're going to hit like 20%, 23%, and that's kind of the extent. Crypto is still, you just don't know what's going to happen, and there's still the governmental factor, which is called governmental risk. And in that space, I am curious if Bitcoin is going to pull back. Leon and I actually had a spirited debate about this, but I think it's going to pull back. I don't know what it's going to pull back to. It's technically in a pullback right now. Do you know what Bitcoin is at?
Yeah, it closes. It's 37,000 now. Well, close. It definitely never closes, but
yeah, I'm
trading about 37. Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing to point out for everybody watching this. Bitcoin and these cryptos trade 24/7. So they never stop increasing and decreasing in value. So they're ever moving. Their charts are ridiculous. So when you're just looking at, which cryptocurrency you want to invest in, there is a far and wide net that you have to cast to figure out what makes sense for you. And I'll say this, I'll put this out for Leon and I. We'll do some research. There's actually a platform that lists a large majority of the cryptos. We'll put it inside of Investing Education Academy for the whole community, a link to that platform, because it looks like a stock market. It's actually amazing to look at for me. I was like, wow, I didn't know this existed. But I'll find the link. we will post it inside of Investing Education Academy for everybody in the academy. And we'll probably start some type of discussion around it as well, because there are a number of altcoins, and some of these altcoins, although they're not something I would put anything beyond curious money in, they are deserving of that curious money. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, some of them move 20, 30, 40% a day. So yeah, definitely.
So with that being said, we owe you all the stock picks. For me, I was torn on this one. I'm gonna tell you all, I was like last minute, I finally went with the one. So I picked Lee, and this is an automotive electric vehicle company, and it's called Lee Auto. They have a market cap of $31.9 billion. And the electronic vehicle in the Asian marketplaces are, I mean, they're just getting a foothold. It's not even close to what they're going to produce over the next 5 to 10 years. Even in the US, there are many states now that have mandates on what new cars will be able to be sold in their states. And they're moving towards clean energy or electric vehicles being the only cars that will be able to be sold new. Many other states, I think, are going to follow right now. It's just California. It's just California.
That's the one I've heard of that actually has the rule on the books. I think it's about 2030. Only electric vehicles can be sold brand new in California, starting in 2030, I believe. Now, secondhand, people can still buy gas-powered cars, but new cars cannot be sold that are gas-powered.
Yep. So you're talking about a globe, I mean, a world of people that are going to be moving towards electric vehicles. And one thing for me, I look at when I'm looking at stocks is how big of a community can this particular stock serve, or this company serve. If the company can't serve a couple million, then you have to wonder what is the likelihood of it succeeding. So I love where Lee Auto is placed in the marketplace. You're talking about in the US market alone, only 3% of cars on the street, maybe 4% at this point, are represented by electric vehicles. So you have a huge potential for getting these electric vehicles in place. And although I love Tesla, they can't service everybody. And competition is natural. Competition is good. Competition keeps prices under control. So you're going to have some competition in the market. So I picked Lee Autos. Oh, ticker symbol is LI. It's currently trading at $35.55 per share. And again, you're going to see some volatility in the electric vehicle space over the next, I would say, year and a half, maybe. And that's just going to be the market trying to figure out who they like, because this is still very new. And you're going to have the traditional GMs and everybody, really trying to redesign how they do business to get more electric vehicles out to the consumer space. And I don't know how that's may disrupt the foreign companies in this marketplace.
Yep. So I chose, and it's kind of rare for me because it's a recent IPO, but I chose C3.ai. Ticker symbol is AI. Today it closed at $143.14. It was up 6.84%.
I love this company. I love this company. We talked about we talked about this in November. It's a great pick, Leon.
Yeah. See, so the reason I love them is because, so as we know, everything's moving to the cloud and also AI, artificial intelligence, and companies on their own, Walmart, Sears, Honda, their specialty is not AI, but all these companies want AI to streamline processes. So C3.ai, their specialty is what they call enterprise AI. So they're seeing a ton of business coming at them now because they offer tools that help companies implement AI, and then they also have consultants that can come in there and actually do it for companies. So they're in the sweetest of sweet spots right now, providing AI services to corporations. So the revenue last year was 157 million. It was up 71% over 2019. Another reason I like them is their founder is Tom Siebel. And for people that may or may not know, people that have heard of Siebel Systems back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. So Siebel Systems was the first CRM what's the name of the CRM company now, Brent? The big one?
Yeah, it's Salesforce, and they're directly at Salesforce, with the platform.
Yeah, so Siebel Systems back in the early 2000s was like Salesforce. It was Salesforce before Salesforce. So Tom Siebel founded that company back then and sold it to Oracle for $6 billion in 2005. So their founder has a tremendous track record. He's in the sweetest spot that you can be, which is enterprise AI. Another point is that it's projected that this year, 2021, that $4 trillion with a T, $4 trillion is going to be spent on IT spending by corporations this year. $4 trillion. That is 19% of the US GDP. US GDP is $21 billion. $4 billion of that is going to be spent just on IT services in the US this year. Just astounding numbers. So a company like C3.ai is right in that spot. They're going to get a lot of that revenue, a lot of that money thrown at them because, and again, this is why I always come back and always say, if the number one sector I think, not saying you should, but I think people should be in is technology because it runs the world right now. And C3.ai is in the sweet spot, as I said, servicing companies with AI services as well as AI tools to big corporations. So C3.ai, ticker symbol AI.
Yeah, and for anybody who wants to join our conversation, every Wednesday after we're done on Facebook, we're going to open a Clubhouse room and have a discussion about our picks, have a discussion about some of the information provided during these lives. And if you're listening to the podcast, every Wednesday around 10 p.m. basically, we're going to be going live inside a Clubhouse to just have a quick chat about the stock picks, what's going on in the market, and generally answer questions that people have real time. So if you'd like to join us today, feel free. You can just look for Leon Noble or Brent Simpson when you make it over to Clubhouse. Be sure to follow us so you can get alerts when we are opening rooms. And we have an announcement of something pretty cool we're going to do inside a Clubhouse coming up next month. So we'll keep you guessing about it for now. But as we get closer, we will let you know. And for everybody who continue to support us, like always, thank you so much. For all of you all who are listening to the podcast, thank you so much. And if you are interested in becoming a member of Investing Education Academy, maybe your resolution was to learn more about investing or to become more serious about what you're doing with your money, you can go to www.ieamembers.com. We have had members tell us some amazing stories of returns last year. And we recently did a hot seat Saturday where the person literally said that they just pick our picks. Like that's what they've been buying as their guidance for the stock market. And in 4 months, they're up 63%. So that was kind of awesome to hear. And, again, there's risk involved. Please do your research. We're not saying that all of our picks are going to win. We will have duds. So
we do have duds.
We do. Like it's part of investing. But as it relates to, hearing a story of somebody whose entire portfolio only consists of IEA picks and to know they have a 63 plus rate of return in 4 months was great to hear. So we're excited about where we're headed in the future.
Yep. So definitely check that out and check you all next week. I hope you all come over to Clubhouse tonight. We'll be over there in like another 15 minutes and hope to see y'all there.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.